So, hi everyone. My name is Thalia from the Island Gals. Today we're talking with three individuals who are from the Caribbean, yaad and abroad. So we're going to hear from them and talk about being Black and Caribbean in America and abroad for Black History Month. So, can we start with some intros?
Okay, I'll go first. Hi, my name is Aaliyah McPherson. I was born here in the U.S. I was born in New York. My parents are both from Jamaica, my entire family. And yeah.
Okay, Alex. My name's also Leo. I still live in Jamaica, but currently I'm at school in New York. Um, yeah.
All right, and my name is Nicholas. I recently came home from school in U.S. I was going to school in Washington D.C., but I was born and raised here in Jamaica.
Okay, so you're in Jamaica right now.
Yeah,
Same,
right now.
same.
Nice.
All right. So where did y'all go to? I want to hear. I went to Spelman. Where did you guys go?
I did in North Carolina at Guilford College. I did my master's in Miami, and I'm now in dental school in Boston.
Okay.
Um,
Aaliyah too.
I'm at university right now doing my undergrad in economics and computer science.
Okay.
And you went to Spelman to Howard, where I studied finance.
So Aaliyah asked, and Nicholas, was it a culture shock going to America?
I think it's definitely really different from back home, and especially so right now I live in upstate New York, and it gets really really cold. Like right now it's like snowing outside. So even beyond like culture, just acclimatizing to the weather and just like the people over here are really different as well. Everyone tells me I have an accent. I don't hear it, but to me they have an accent. Like being able to it's really different because when you go to school in Jamaica, like majority of your school is going to be like black. They're going to be just everyone's kind of from the same background as you. However, here it's just like people from all over. It's kind of like a flip where at least at my school, it's like I know almost every black person here. It's like completely different from how it was back home. So yeah, it was definitely something I have to get used
So
to.
my experience was kind of similar in the way that it was a culture shock. I didn't have to adjust to the weather. I had to get used to actually being cold up there. But uh, unlike Aliyah and more like I guess you would understand by going to Spelman that I did. Fortunately I was around a lot of black people. Going to an HBCU, so that did really help with that with my the term for lack of a better term, my acclimatization process to Howard. It's I still had to get used to a lot of things. I was being told I had an accent by everybody, even though I didn't hear it. But I was shown just how really diverse the U.S. is, and not just in terms of different races, but just seeing the diversity in African Americans alone was a really big eye-opening experience for me.
So for you, Aaliyah, do you feel like I want to know what moment in your life did you realize you're a Caribbean? Like what moment really like this is my culture?
I think so. I was born in New York, and then I moved to Atlanta when I was around 11. And so in New York, the school that I went to was somebody who was from somewhere, and it was predominantly Black. You were either Jamaican, Trini, Bayesian from somewhere. So for me, I just remember bringing things to like for lunch. We'd always have to pack our lunch for school, and it'd probably be like curry goat or oxtail or something. And like I never felt uncomfortable. But when I moved to Atlanta for school, like that was probably the first time I had white people in my class, and I remember I never really told anyone where I was from, or even my parents speaking with an accent. It was a little embarrassing at first because it was like, I think it was the first time I was around solely Black. Yes, I am Black, I am American, yes, but solely Black American, not from anywhere. And it was at first a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't until in college where I really started to be like, okay, this is where I'm from, or this is where my parents are from, more say. So
Had one of those experiences too. I remember, I will never forget, in Spanish class, they like asked us, oh, what is your, what's your specialty that your parents make? And I'm like, oxtail. And they're like, wait, oxtail?
yeah.
Like an ox's tail? And I'm like, yeah, it's so good. You should try it. And my mom was always afraid of me packing like my little the leftover dinner things for lunch, because she didn't want me to be judged based on our culture, because a lot of people do that. And I lived in New York too. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I noticed, and I was talking to my mom about this the other day, let me know if you had this experience moving to the South. People always ask my mom in the South, where are you from? You have an accent. But in the North, they don't do that.
So it's very interesting. So I had a friend, she's from Barbados. She came here for college. Well, she came here for high school then college, and she has an accent as well. And she was telling me how she got made fun of in New York, and I was like, made fun of for your accent in New York? Like I would expect that in Atlanta. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think it's also it's a regional thing. As if you're up north, it's very different. Like it's there, it's present, but it's not as prevalent as it is down south.
Definitely. Have you guys, yeah. So have you guys experienced that with the accent? Like you're more judged on it in a certain region in America than others? Or just everywhere?
To be fair, so usually when I'd visit America, I was going to the South, like I was just going to like Miami, but I feel like the interactions I was having as just like a visitor was kind of different. People weren't really gonna ask me like where I was from or anything. But now that I'm up here, like going to school, I think I'm making friends or just like interacting with teachers, they're gonna ask me where I'm from, like because like I speak to them every day. But it usually like not to like boast a little bit about Jamaica, but usually people love Jamaica, so they're like, "What? You're from Jamaica?" So I've never
Oh yeah, definitely.
the flip where it's like, "Oh my God, you're from Jamaica." The accent, it's usually a, "Oh, that's so cool," but it does get
Yeah.
annoying because a lot of people, like, I kind of have to make sure that I don't speak too much Jamaican or make too much like slip out because then people just won't understand me. So there's definitely that aspect towards it.
Okay. Nicholas, do you want to speak on that, or?
Yeah, I can speak on it. So that Howard and the DC, well, the DMV has a decent Caribbean population. So I didn't receive as many questions about people asking me where I'm from, because once I started speaking, they were pretty much able to guess. But
I want to know about y'all's college experience. Okay, and so going to those institutions, did you feel like a disconnect or a connect with your roots, or how did you feel?
A disconnect. I went to a predominantly white institution, and one disconnect from from the non-blacks, and then I think the only connection that I really had with a lot of people that were from somewhere, whether it be either DR or Curacao or other countries, that was where the connection was, because it was not only me still trying to, I guess me being present within my own culture, but also being present within theirs. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like there definitely was a disconnect because even like beyond like language and stuff, just there are also things that we kind of grew up learning that lots of people here like they didn't learn the same things or they have like different ideas about certain things. But I mean, I do find like bonds with people who maybe have like Jamaican parents or just also like you said, people from just like who aren't really from America or weren't really raised here. And at my school, I know like there are five other Jamaicans here, and occasionally we'll all like say, "Oh, like let's just like link up and just have like some Jamaican time," which I found really helpful.
That's nice. That's always nice to find your community. I was asking, that's my follow-up question, if you guys like joined a Caribbean associated organization at your respective colleges, or maybe Black Student Union, something.
Black Student Union.
Yeah. And how was that?
It was It was good. I was well, one for me, college was very different. I went to a predominantly black high school and then a predominantly white college, so it was very different. So I was still trying to find that comfort in that different community. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a part of Caribbean Students Association, and
Mhm.
I think it is good. Like they always do this the things where they make Jamaican food. There's no Jamaican restaurant where I live, or even Caribbean, so that's kind of nice. And like there's the parties where they play like more Jamaican music pre-Corona, and yeah, that connected with that.
And I feel like you're in the perfect place. Like New York is like the hub for not even just Jamaicans, like Caribbean people, like that. You're always gonna find somebody.
Very upstate New York. I'm almost in Canada. I'm not.
And Nicholas, I know we both went to HBCUs. Did you join a Caribbean association or something like that? For me, I did because I don't know, there was this clique when I went to college. You know, you're in high school, you're not really thinking about your identity, but for some reason, when you get to college, you're just like, who am I kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you notice you connect with certain people that like are close to your culture, whether it's like Africans or Caribbeans or even Europeans or something, whoever, you know, you connect with more. So I know I joined the Caribbean Association. Did you?
Oh yeah, yeah, I did as well, and it helped with Howard having such a huge Caribbean population, and then even outside of the association, I was also on the swim team there, and there are several Caribbean nationals who are a member of the team as well, and including people who were teammates of mine in high school, who ended up going to Howard as well. So that really, that having that community in the students association as well as on the swim team, it really helped me in my transition, and getting used to being a Jamaican in America.
That's good. When we talk about cultural academia, like African history, the language courses, do you feel like there's options in those institutions to connect with a specific culture?
Um, I would have to, I think I ride the line a little bit. I think if I know for my school, it wasn't, I we couldn't really depend on the white faculty to provide that. It was more so dependent on the black faculty to really provide that extra education. It was so, I guess, little. It wasn't as it wouldn't be the same as if it was at a Howard or at a Spelman.
My school is very focused on academics overall, but I wouldn't say they do a good job of making people very diverse, especially like culturally. And in fact, like this semester is my first time taking a class where I am learning more about like culture. I'm taking like introduction to Africana studies. And I remember the first thing that my professor said was that she wishes that it was just like a requirement for people to take, because there's so many people who, you graduate like from this big prestigious institution, and you ask them something like simple, like, oh, who's like Frederick Douglass? And they're like, I don't know. And it says a lot about where their priorities are set.
I do think that learning about African history in any retrospect, it would be helpful for people to have a different mindset, first of all,
Yeah, definitely.
and know more than, like you said, basic. I don't want to say basic, but like the most known people like Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, even like our high schools, like, come on, like we have to, why did we not know about these other people? You only really learn about them when you do the research yourself.
So just mainly because intro to African American studies is a requirement in most of the different schools at Howard. So I definitely learned a lot of Black history that I was not previously exposed to due to growing up in the Caribbean. We learn our Caribbean history.
Yeah.
And we'll see, like we'd see watching TV, because we watch American TV out here. during Black History Month, we'll see them talk about all these different individuals and their contributions. So we know about the MLKs, the Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, even a Fred Hampton, but I didn't know about guys like Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglass, Huey Newton, several other individuals who I learned about either from that course or just being there at Howard. So I would definitely say that even outside of the academia, there are several different seminars and sessions with guest speakers at Howard that different organizations at Howard put on that serve to further the cultural education there. So I would say that in my opinion, they do a good job. But you do have to understand that this is the opinion of a Jamaican of a Jamaican who might not be as aware of what should and shouldn't be of what should really be discussed and shown. So
yeah, definitely. But I think it's awesome that they taught you specifically African American or Black American like studies, because especially for somebody, because a lot of foreigners come to colleges in the United States having no clue what's going on, and so like they treat other people with disrespect. So even if they're the same race or anything, so I think that is very important having that.
I think because I've although African American Studies was the Intro to African American Studies was the course that I took, they did have several other courses that having to do with just black education. So I remember that since I took Caribbean Studies for Cape. In Cape, before I went to college, I received transfer credits for a course that would have been called Intro to Black Diaspora. Excuse me, Intro to the Black Diaspora. So I didn't end up taking any of those other courses, but I knew that they were there. So I do like to commend Howard on having that